Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the SchuZ Show. Hope you guys have had a phenomenal Tuesday or Wednesday, wherever you guys are at. Hope you guys are having a blessed day right now. But we're going to get into some boxing topics today. There's no guests on today's show. The rest of the week, as long as it goes according to plan, we'll have guests on the show as well. So today, I just want to hop on, give you guys my thoughts on some boxing news going down, and I'm going to be getting right into that. So if there are any comments or questions that you guys want me to address on the show today, make sure to leave it into the chat, and I will address as we go throughout tonight's show. But generally speaking, I do expect for it to be a pretty short show. I'm just going to get into some boxing news that's come out, and then we'll get into it. But tomorrow, I'll have two shows, a basketball show, which will be going down at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and then I'll be having a boxing show go down at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Both have incredible guests who I will be announcing tomorrow morning, so make sure to tune in to those episodes. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley is on the verge of being finalized for a heavyweight clash on October 25th at the O2 Arena in London, the ring has learned. All right. This is huge news. I knew there was rumors of it, and I briefly touched up on this on Friday's show. Now it appears that we're getting closer and closer to a deal now being in place between Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley fighting at the O2 Arena in London on October 25th. This is huge. Absolutely huge. Let me just draw the picture for you guys. Joseph Parker is a man that deserves a world championship shot. He should have received that opportunity against Daniel Dubois on February 22nd. For one reason or another, Daniel Dubois got sick. He did not give him his fight, and Joseph Parker had to go out there and step up and fight Martin Bacoli on short notice. Took him out of there real quickly. Now we fast forward, and he should be getting a shot with Alexander Usyk. However, the situation at hand right now is that Usyk is taking his time. And I get it. I've given my thoughts on that, made it very clear I'm okay with him doing that. But it leaves Joseph Parker in a very tough predicament. Where does he go from here? Well, Joseph Parker does something that really not many other boxers would do in boxing today, and that is decide to go out there and fight a fellow interim world champion in Fabio Wardley in Fabio Wardley's home. Not many boxers are out there doing that, and that's why I want to take a minute right now just to applaud Joseph Parker. I get it. Fabio Wardley, Joseph Parker, that fight is not officially finalized yet. However, the fact that Joseph Parker is willing to stay active, the fact that he's willing to go out there and take on a man in Fabio Wardley who is a dangerous fighter with great power in Fabio Wardley's home is something that very few boxers would do in today's era. Very few guys. Most guys would sit out and wait as long as they have to get the shot at Alexander Usyk. Not Joseph Parker. Many guys would go out there and take a quick tune-up fight against somebody that doesn't really matter at their home base. That's not Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker is willing to go into the O2 Arena in London, Fabio Wardley's home, and go out there and fight a fellow interim world champion, a top, what do you want to call him, 5, 6, 7 heavyweight in all the world, and that's who he's going to utilize as a stay busy fight against, in preparation, hopefully for, if he goes out there and defeats Fabio Wardley, Alexander Usyk. Just give the man a round of applause. We're seeing too many guys in boxing today in this era not want to fight the best, not stay active, sit out, so on and so forth. And you could say there's a good business excuse there, but it is what it is. That's not Joseph Parker. This is a man that is so hard not to root for. He is something that I have the utmost respect for. I think he's a phenomenal fighter, a guy that truly could challenge Usyk better than probably anybody at the heavyweight division can. But this man just buckles down, keeps performing, keeps fighting, staying active, and it's hard not to root for this guy. He's a stand-up guy as well. Much respect to Joseph Parker for taking this fight, especially if it does come to fruition. But let's go and preview the fight real quickly. If this fight does in fact go down, and what are we at now? About 6, 7, 8 weeks from now, whatever it is, I would favor Joseph Parker. I like Fabio Wardley. Don't get it twisted. I like Fabio Wardley a lot. Fabio Wardley is a man that obviously would have lost to Justis Huni had he not had the miraculous KO. That's what was lined up for himself, to go out there and lose against Justis Huni. But he ended up coming out of that fight with a massive signature KO. That being said, Joseph Parker is not regarded as a man that has a weak chin as Justis Huni was. Joseph Parker is a man that is a lot more skilled than Huni. While Huni is a very talented fighter, he's not anywhere near the level of Joseph Parker. I think that Joseph Parker will have his way with Fabio Wardley, bearing a miraculous KO. However, this is still a very exciting fight. And just let me paint this picture as well for you guys. We look at this perspective. Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker, a heavyweight clash in London at the O2. That place is going to be hopping. That environment will be absolutely phenomenal. And on top of that, let's just be obvious here. The winner of that fight will very likely get a shot at Alexander Usyk early next year. So there's a lot riding on the situation here. Because whether or not Usyk vacates the belt, you're going to have Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley essentially now fighting for position to go out there and fight Alexander Usyk for undisputed. Whether that be because they have a world championship and they're going to unify all the belts once again, or it's going to be an undisputed defense for Alexander Usyk. Either way, Fabio Wardley Joseph Parker is a huge fight. This fight will be absolutely massive. Now, I'm going to add one other side note. And this is just absolutely embarrassing on Boxer's standpoint. So, if you guys did not catch yesterday's show, I elaborate on the situation now where the BBC and Boxer situation with their contract, their one-year deal, was going to be getting going and was going to be headlined, at least the very first fight card, for a British heavyweight champion title. And that was going to be between Jamie TKV and Fraser Clark. That was what was put in place. It was supposed to happen this month. Well, push comes to shove. Now that fight's been rescheduled, it's been postponed, and all of a sudden we're in a position now where Boxer is not going to be having their debut on BBC up until October. And here's the funny situation. Guess what day they're planning on having their very first fight card on BBC? None other than October 25th. And what is October 25th? Well, it's the fight I just talked about. Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker. All I'm going to say is this. When you look at Ben Shalom and Boxer, have they done some decent things for boxing? Absolutely. But they are on life support right now. This is only a one-year deal with the BBC. It's not even on the number one channel, but it is what it is. At least they have a TV deal. At least they're going to stick around for 1 year. It's life support for Ben Shalom. However, the very beginning of this contract is already after a shaky start. You already had to postpone fights. And now the brilliance of this company is going out there and wanting to schedule a British heavyweight title fight, which it's fine. It's a solid fight. Fraser Clark, Jamie TKV, fine fight. But they're going to be scheduling it on the same exact date as Joseph Parker, Fabio Wardley. Now, let me just ask you this. Unless you are a big Jamie TKV or Fraser Clark fan, which there are some of those, you're not going to be tuning in for that fight. All due respect. Is that a fight I would typically tune in for if it did not interfere with any other fight? Sure. But anybody out there will be tuning in to go out there and watch Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker fight. So doing it likely the same exact time, in the same location, or they see the same country, at the same weight class, is absolutely foolish. It makes absolutely no sense. And so if I were them, you got to look at another date. Do not move the fight to October 25th. There's no way you could be that brain dead to actually make that situation happen. Move on from it. It is what it is. If you can't get the right dates, don't make it happen unless it makes sense. But placing it on October 25th on the same exact time in the same country as Fabio Wardley, Joseph Parker would be one of the most idiotic moves you could make. And I'm just going to say this. If you're Ben Shalom, you cannot be in a place where you're making idiotic moves right now. You are on life support. You're losing fires by the minute. Do not mess up the BBC contract by putting the same exact fight or the same exact heavyweight clash on the same day. Just don't do it. Please don't be that stupid, because I would not mind watching Fraser Clark and Jamie TKV fight, but I'm not watching that fight over Fabio Wardley, Joseph Parker. It is what it is. The WBO has not yet granted an extension to Alexander Usyk to discharge his mandatory against interim champion Joseph Parker. The sanctioning body has requested an updated medical report from Usyk following videos of him dancing last week. The WBO champion committee will rule on Usyk's extension this week. All right, very interesting news right here. As I just talked about, Fabio Wardley, Joseph Parker is likely to fight lined up to go out there and fight Usyk. The one big question now we have set in place is this. Will it be for a world championship? Hence, obviously, Joseph Parker becomes world champion, then defends against Wardley. Or will it be for a shot at Usyk for undisputed, in which Usyk will be defending all 4 belts? That's the only question it appears to be right now. For Usyk, I wouldn't be shocked at what happens. At the end of the day, we do know this. I don't think he's going to put up too big of a fight either. And the reason is this. If you're Alexander Usyk, you likely know that your last fight is going to be against Joseph Parker, Fabio Wardley winner. Whether that is for you containing all belts and defending them, or you're trying to unify all the belts once again, it's going to be that matchup for undisputed. So I do not think Usyk will push on too much here. I think he does want to keep the belts. At the same time, I do not think this is a situation where he's going to fight too much, but we will see what happens. As I said last week, the video is the video. Can you dance? Yes. But obviously there's a difference between dancing and being able to fight a professional fight at the heavyweight division. Big difference. However, letting that video get leaked out last week probably was not the wisest choice when you're trying to defend yourself and get an extension with your injury. Just my own opinion there. It is what it is, though. We'll see what ends up unfolding. We will have information on this week. I don't know which day it will be, but we'll get more information and clarity on this week. Let's hop over to another interesting topic that happened today in the world of boxing. And I'm just going to give you guys a preview. It's going to be on Jaime Munguia. I'm going to let you guys know my thoughts on this situation to a limited extent. And here's why. When I give you guys the details, I'll give you guys the facts. I'll give you guys what exactly happened, the rulings, and hypothetically what they're saying occurred with the blood samples for this fight. However, I'll be honest, I'm conflicted on this. I don't know which side to take. It is a very confusing situation, and that is why I'm just going to give you guys the facts on this portion of the show. You guys can decipher and decide which side you guys will land on. Here's the details. Whether or not you're familiar with this Jaime Munguia, he tested positive, both A and B samples, in his fight against Bruno Soares. In the rematch, obviously, he had the massive KO loss last year to Soares. Then they ended up in the rematch. Jaime Munguia won that fight. Both samples came back positive. So, expectation was that he was going to be suspended. That fight would be called a no contest, so on and so forth. Here's the details that came out today. Jaime Munguia has reportedly been cleared to return to boxing and faces no sanctions by the UKAD or the BBB for his positive test for banned substances in May. Munguia's win against Bruno Soares remains unchanged, meaning it will remain as a win. Mexican boxer Jaime Munguia, he underwent various tests to prove that he was not a dirty fighter. The British Commission cleared him of doping and all charges. This is followed up then by Mauricio Suleiman, reported that the Clean Boxing Committee has approved the innocence of Jaime Munguia. And this is the exact quote. Jaime Munguia is not a fighter who has been found guilty. The former WBO super welterweight champion can now return to the ring and is expected to make his return in either October or November. All right, here's the details. As I said, was very conflicted. When you fail to test, immediately my opinion was given, and I made it very clear. I'm a very, very, very strong opinion on PEDs and those guys that pop positive for tests in any sport, but particular combat sports, because of the damage it can inflict. That's not going to change. So when we had both the A and B samples, I made it clear. This is my thoughts on the situation. The Eddie Reynoso camp has had a lot of issues with that. I made my situation clear. At the end of the day, here we go. Somehow, and it's a very rare situation this occurs, we are in a position now at this moment in time that Jaime Munguia has been cleared of all charges. A little bit shocking. And that's why I say, when you look at the reports, it's just a little bit confusing. How do you fail 2 tests and yet you get cleared of it all? Well, here's the details I found. Now, I'm no doctor. I do not know doctor terminology. So I went out there and I tried researching, spent actually quite a bit of good time on this, trying to figure out what exactly happened. The report is essentially this. There was a specific supplement or something he put in his body. And that when that comes into the body's flow system, the blood, it can sometimes change into into a certain substance that can be read then as a steroid. It does not have the effects of steroids, but it does possibly lead to a situation where it shows up on the testing protocol as a steroid. This is supposedly what they found to be true in the situation with Jaime Munguia. As I said, I'm not a doctor. I understand some portions of that. Some of it does make sense. However, how do they prove this? All these different situations, I don't know. And that's why I'm going to stand on this very, very clearly. I don't know what happened. Here's the results. And at the end of the day, we need to move forward. Jaime Munguia has been cleared. Jaime Munguia is no longer somebody that has lost a fight due to the fact or changed the fight to a no contest. He is no longer a man that's popped positive according to the records. And we have to move forward with that. He's officially a man back in the playing scene at 168. He is no longer going to be suspended, and he's right back in the mix. Is it right? I don't know. You guys can decide on what your opinion is on this. Obviously, I'm someone who will say innocent until proven guilty, and at this point in time, he is innocent. I will move forward with that as my claim. Whether it makes sense or not, that's not up to us to determine that, but you lay on your side there, and I want you guys to let me know. Leave it in the chat. Do you believe that Jaime Munguia deserves to still be suspended even after the 2 samples that he tested positive in, or is what they claim to have been true something that you're okay with and you're glad to see him back in the ring? Let me know in the chat what you guys think. That's the facts, the details. Let's move forward now. Keyshawn Davis left a very interesting comment on social media. He says this: retirement is so peaceful. I discussed this a little bit ago when he was hinting at retirement. Now he says retirement is so peaceful. Listen, at the end of the day, I want to make this very clear. I made this a very strong point back when the whole Keyshawn Davis situation happened in Norfolk, Virginia on June 7th, I believe the date was. And I said this: at the end of the day for Keyshawn Davis, this is a man that is extremely talented. This is a man that had a chance at least, to be the next face of American boxing. He was talented. He had the branding, he had the name and image, all that stuff. He had the full package. He blew it though. Doesn't mean he can't go regain it in the future, but at that moment in time, he blew his shot and stalled that situation. But the biggest thing is this: the actions in which he took leading up to that fight, the weigh-in process, and then obviously the disaster that happened backstage behind the scenes in the fight, all of those things that we witnessed are massive testaments to this one fact. He has some mental problems that need to get addressed. And there's no shot at him. Listen, people have mental health issues. There's no questioning that. You have to get yourself right, and it's going to interfere with work in your life and who you are, regardless of where you are. If you have mental health issues, go find Jesus, go get some help, and obviously work through that. For Keyshawn Davis, he's obviously got some stuff going on. And I'm not going to knock a man when he's down. I'll discipline, I'll look at him and say, listen, this what you did was wrong, and it was wrong. But at the end of the day, he doesn't need mental help. And he's never going to reach his full potential in boxing until he reaches the help he needs outside of the ring. Because if your mind's not right in boxing, the things that go down inside the ring likely are not going to be good either. And so if you're Keyshawn Davis, when you're still what is this now? 4 or 5 months after this situation happened, retirement is so peaceful, it's a little bit interesting. And all I hope is he's getting the right mental health stuff. At the end of the day, Top Rank does not have a TV deal. Top Rank is probably also mad at Keyshawn Davis, let's be honest. And when you put those two factors together, you're kind of put in a little bit of bind. If Top Rank does not have a TV deal, Keyshawn Davis likely is not fighting. Just like none of the top ranked fighters are going to be fighting right now that are big names. For a lot of the lower name guys, the prospects, are putting them on club shows. For the top guys, they're going to have to sit out until they get a TV deal or some other contract is reached. So if you're Keyshawn Davis, odds are you're not going to be fighting anyways until November, December, January when the contract gets solidified. That's a good thing for him. I just hope this. The talent is there for Keyshawn Davis. I do not think he's going to retire. He will be back. But if Keyshawn Davis were to take an entire year of boxing off, if he were to take this next year off, not worry about boxing, just worry about what's going on up here, I think that would do great wonders for his career. I think deep down inside, he wants to be a great boxer and he has all the talent, he has all the ability to do so. But he has to make sure the mind's right. And you're young enough. If you take 1 calendar year off of boxing and you just sit back and reflect and you get this right, you can still rebound. At the end of the day, yes, it will always be a stain on your career, but what you do moving forward, you can erase a lot of what happened. It's going to take some redemption of you. It's going to take you having to make things right with a lot of people you messed up and you hurt. But if you get right mentally, you're going to be able to move past this and you can still have a bright future. But if you're not ready mentally, just don't come back to the ring. Take your time off. Nobody's going to be against it. There's not even a top-ranked TV deal in line anyway, so you're not going to be ducking anybody. Just be patient. Especially if Shakur Stevenson fights Teofimo Lopez, and as Shakur said he wants to do, is beat Teofimo Lopez and then relinquish that belt and open up for you to go get it. That gives you just about 1 year off. Go do it. Just be patient. Get your mind right, and all will be fine. Mosey Toma's return is being targeted for December 13th. Frank Warren has confirmed that the WBA and WBO's number 1 ranked Mosey Toma's ring return is being targeted for December 13th in Manchester. Frank Warren is happy to make a fight with Hrgovic. Opponents under consideration are Filip Hrgovic, Kubrat Pulev, and Jermaine Franklin. Very interesting. Jermaine Franklin is fighting next week on the Canelo Bud Crawford undercard. Filip Hrgovic, obviously we all know who he is. Kubrat Pulev is also a solid fighter as well. One of the champions currently in the heavyweight division. If you are Mosey Toma, these make a lot more sense. We were talking going right to Alexander Usyk, and I made it very clear that's not the right move. If we're looking for Mosey Toma to return to the ring against a guy that's debatably top 10, Filip Hrgovic, Kubrat Pulev, who's an experienced, good veteran, Jermaine Franklin, if he has a good win here, would be a solid fight as well. These make much more sense. He is young, build him up the right way. He's got plenty of time. I like what Frank Warren's doing. I never thought he was going to rush him anyways, but these options make a lot more sense. Then, the last things I want to wrap up on today's show, unless there are any comments, which I do not see, is this. I talked about yesterday. Today was going to be a day of purse bids. There were 3 different ones. 2 of them I will address today because the other one didn't end up happening. They just canceled the fight. All right. Here's what they were. Jai Batai, Hussein, Jinkara have reached a deal for the IBF mandatory cruiserweight title fight. And so purse bids that were scheduled for today have been canceled. Matchroom will announce the date and venue shortly. The only interesting part about that is that it has not yet 100% been confirmed. Now, I will actually have the guest tomorrow be Mick Francis, who is Jai Batai's manager and with Tasman Fighters. I will be going into discussion with him about this. However, as of right now, there is a chance still, albeit slim, there's a chance that what they reached and the deal that was reached is the opportunity for a step-aside fight where they can go have Chris Smith come into the situation. I don't know if that's going to actually occur or not, but hopefully I have clarity on that from Mick Francis tomorrow on the show. He will be on here. But at this point in time, it appears that Chinkara Opataya, a IBF Cruiserweight title fight, will be booked and scheduled. They won the Cruiserweight. They're going to have it. The deal's reached. We'll see what the deal is, and that's going to happen, though. Fresh Productions wins the Matthias Smith purse bids. Fresh Productions, with an offer of $1.9 million, has won the purse bids for the Subriel Matthias Dalton Smith WBC Super Lightweight Title Mandatory Contest and will stage the fight in Puerto Rico. Matchroom ended up bidding $1.71 million for this fight. So once again, Matchroom goes to purse bids and they lose the purse bid. It is what it is. Not a very big deal. It was a very weird split. I don't think Matchroom was ever going to actually win this fight, and it's not a big deal. If you are looking at Dalton Smith, you've invested a lot of money into him. Him going out to Puerto Rico is a tough situation. But here's the biggest storyline here. At the end of the day, I don't think people need to be too worried about Puerto Rico giving the edge to Subriel Matias and letting him win the fight. Last year, Subriel Matias lost to Liam Paro. You can go in there and upset him, and it can happen. Puerto Rico is not going to rig it all the time. Yes, it's rigging in boxing regardless of where you are. UK's had their fair share of it as well. If you are, then that's not something to worry about. If Dalton Smith is the better fighter, and I don't think he is, but if he is, in fact, the better fighter, then move on with it. Dalton Smith should be able to go become world champion. If not, it is what it is. He'll go back to being rebuilt. Here's the biggest storyline that I want to touch up on. This fight was supposed to happen on November 22nd. And that fight card, the David Benavidez, Anthony Yarde, better be able to be on the fight card, so on and so forth. That fight card is already looking like potentially one of the best cards we have seen in a very long time. It will rival February 22nd and also has a chance to be one of the best we've seen. However, this was one of those key fights. Well, I just read this. The fight will be staged in Puerto Rico, not in Saudi Arabia. So that means that we can officially mark that fight and cancel it. It's no longer going to be on November 22nd in Saudi Arabia. It will now be in Puerto Rico at another date. Very interesting news there. All I will say is this. It's interesting to me. You look at Turkey Al-Sheikh. They walked Dalton Smith out there, had the face-off after the Alberto Puello fight. It made no sense to me to begin with. They went forward with it anyways, even though the fight was nowhere near negotiated and agreed upon. And here we are. Now the fight's not happening. Very interesting to see how it all unfolded there. Also fascinating that Turkey Al-Sheikh did not put up the money to go get the fight and make it happen. But it is what it is. Very interesting. But the biggest question I will ask is this. Who's going to replace that fight? If we know Turkey Al-Sheikh, and we know him pretty well, he's going to make a big fight happen. So what fight now replaces that one? It'll be interesting to see what happens there, but hopefully we get a big fight now that Dalton Smith and Subriel Matias is off that card and going to happen in Puerto Rico. With that being said, I don't see any more comments in the comment section, so I'll be wrapping up today's show. As I said, tomorrow I'll be back live at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for our basketball show. Make sure to tune in then if you guys want to check out that show. But if you guys are just tuning in for boxing, I will be back live tomorrow, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time with Mick Francis, the man behind Tasman Fighters. I'll be asking him about Jai Opataya. I'll be asking him Justice Hooney. I'll be asking him Connor Wallace, all the different guys out there in his Tasman Fighters. I'll be discussing that, letting you guys tune in to hear about his story in life. So make sure to tune into that show. I'll be live 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time tomorrow. May God bless you guys all. Have a fantastic rest of you guys' day. God bless you guys, and I'll see you guys back live tomorrow on Wednesday. God bless you guys. May God bless you guys all. And with that being said, SchuZ out. I'll see you guys tomorrow.